Hello everyone, today we'll see how we can draw eyes of different ages and shapes in colored pencils, and we'll be drawing these three different eyes from reference. The first pair of eyes, I did a tutorial about it in my previous video where I used Arteza colored pencils for the first time, and I will be using Arteza in this tutorial as well together with Faber-Castell. However, in this video we'll see better how we can draw a pair of eyes accurately, realistically, and obtain a really nice result. To get a really accurate sketch and reproduce the differences between different ages and shapes, it is really important to study your reference photo accurately. And what I like to do is drawing lines, key points on my reference photo, as you see here, and then measure the width of the eyes, the distance between the eyes and the nose, the height, and so on. So basically I'm putting down references, key references that I can then use to reproduce an accurate sketch on the paper. So as you can see here, I'm doing this for all three reference photos in order to get the three sketches accurately. So usually the width of the eyes is the same for both, but it does change a bit according to the orientation. So it is really important to see from your reference photo what's the orientation of the overall face, because if the reference photo is frontal, then of course the eyes will have the same width, but if for example the head is tilted towards the right, then of course the right eye is going to look bigger than the left, and so on. So it is really important to study your reference accurately. In these three references, I have roughly a frontal view of the three pair of eyes, but whereas the girl in the center is completely frontal, the other two have their head tilted slightly upwards and is a bit rotated, so that's why the eyes are not exactly on an horizontal line. Then once you get your sketch as closest as possible to the reference, you can start putting down color. As I mentioned in other videos, when you use colored pencils, it is really important to lay a lot of layers, so to lay your colors in layers, because you will never get the exact color from reference by just using one color pencil, even though you may have a wide range of hues and tones. And also the other reason is because you want your sketch and your final drawing to be smooth, and to achieve smoothness with colored pencils, you do have to layer the color. Now, color matching is the second important step to achieve a realistic look, and I talked about it a little bit in my previous video, so go and check it out. But in this tutorial, it is extremely important to get, of course, the skin differences between ages, because the skin in younger adults or in kids is smoother, and sometimes it is a bit also lighter, no matter what tone the skin is, and as the age progresses, you'll have more wrinkles, and therefore these wrinkles create more shadows, and you really have to pay attention and reproduce them accurately. Another thing that differs across male and female are eyebrows, eyelashes, and also sometimes how big sort of females are in the majority of cases. These three aspects, so eyebrows, eyelashes, and the size of the white of the eye and the iris is also it does also change across age. So usually eyebrows in male are a bit more coarse and they are less tidy. And this usually comes from the fact that females spend more time on them. And also they tend to be coarser in younger ages. Of course, all these aspects can be easily seen when studying your reference photo. But if, for example, you're drawing from imagination, then you should definitely take these aspects into account. And as you can see here, I am therefore drawing and coloring the eyebrows differently. And one important thing to take into account when drawing eyebrows is that your pencil has to be really sharp, and I would suggest not pressing too much at the beginning. So it is important at the beginning to get really quick and light strokes and hair, and then you can press more and more as you're adding your shadows and colors. Now, another important aspect that changes between male and between gender is the eyelashes, and this is of course because most of the times females have longer eyelashes, and also they put mascara and so on, and with the mascara they tend to be less coarse than in male. But it is also important that what many beginners do is that they tend not to draw eyelashes whatsoever on males or older people because they either don't see them or they think that they don't have them. But this is definitely not true, and it is really important to draw eyelashes in male and in older people. You just have to apply less pressure and of course draw them coarsely. Now, one of the last aspects that you should take into account when drawing different shapes and ages is how the upper eyelid and the lower eyelid change as the age progresses, and we know that they're a bit more droopy and loose in older ages, which almost gives a wiser look to the pair of eyes, and of course they are kind of tighter in younger and in younger subjects. Now, the presence of wrinkles is another aspect, of course, to take into account when when representing age. And wrinkles can be a bit tricky to get right. So let's see more details how you can draw them. So what you usually do is in the first layers of your skin tone, you are briefly shading sort of a line. So you're marking with a really light line where the wrinkles are, and then you go on top of it with your colors to sort of smudge it and smooth it. But then towards the last layer, you really want to press harder, apply more pressure in order to get those wrinkles in and to get them realistic. And the trick is to not just, of course, draw a line, but you really have to shade above and below, because if you look at it and if you look from reference and if you think about where basically the light comes from, then you will see that the wrinkle creates a sort of barrier, and of course it just has shadows above and below and also light accordingly. So to get wrinkles properly, you need to shade the outside areas and get them quite smooth. So these are the main aspects to take into account when drawing eyes of different ages, and of course these aspects are valid for portraits in general. And then of course, to get in general a realistic look, it is important to get the dark values appropriately, and also to make sure to leave highlights and so on. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this one. Also, make sure to check out my TikTok account and my Instagram, where I post pictures and drawings that I do weekly. And also make sure to check out my art blog. All my social media is listed in the description below, and there you can also find the reference photos that I used for this tutorial. That is it. I hope you liked it. See you in the next video.